Okay. All right. I know we kind of talked a little bit before, but can you still like introduce yourself a little bit for the audience?
So my name is Greg Hawthorne. I'm an athletic trainer by trade, and I work at One Step Away as like permanent director of off-field performance. So I do both like the strength conditioning and like any type of rehab and recovery type stuff. Um, Historically, I came from obviously the traditional athletic training background, working with sports teams. Went to Michigan State, went to Michigan for undergrad, Michigan State for grad school, and then spent time in the NFL on internships or with as a staff member, and then worked for the Department of Defense, and then worked at Florida State as well for a little bit. So I did all that early in my career, honestly, and now I do private practice and work online, and I educate on top of all that. And so yeah, that's where I am. My influences have always changed, in regards to how my thought process is. I've always been more performance based for an athletic trainer in regards to I always wanted to try to create a hybrid position between the weight room and the athletic training room, and it was kind of going in that direction as I was working with the different staffs, developing relationships. And I think now there's a lot more cohesiveness within the league and my sports where it's like there's teams now together versus like separate departments almost. And so that's cool to see. Um, and so my influences have always been kind of back and forth between like manual work and with the strength stuff. So it's like, how can we integrate things like that together and all that other stuff? So influence now, PRI, Bill Hartman, Coach Joe Ken. Always gotta bring him up along with the Michigan State stuff. And so yeah, that's kind of a big influence where I am, but the same idea under like a performance-based lens on a lot of things.
Nice, nice, nice. So today I kind of want to talk about like how the gut motion influence like how we move. So I want to start with vertical jump. So you're like, can you kind of explain when we do a vertical jump, how does the gut influence our performance?
Yeah, so like I always have this conversation with people when I'm like, hey, you gotta get the guts moving because essentially you're gonna go where your guts go. And the big reason for this, and I always ask, like, have you ever harvested an animal? Have you butchered an animal? And they, most people, some people have, some people have, depending on who to talk to. But when you do so, you can limb an animal, and it's like the legs will weigh something, their arms weigh something. But as soon as you get to like the stomach and the viscera and the guts, like that's the heaviest individual part of the body. Like, and there's all kind of together as a unit. And the crazy thing is like again, there's nothing controlling that. So they just kind of slosh and move around. So if we can't control that, we're gonna have a hard time controlling a lot of things, which makes it a lot more difficult. And so if I can't get that to come off the ground, we have to appreciate that it's gonna be hard to jump. So when we're trying to jump, like we have a pelvic floor, right? So muscles that are very thin. I mean, they're not very thick, but they're stiff and strong. And so I have to get the guts moving in order to actually get myself off the ground, right? And I know this sounds like, oh, you get it, but yes, the body, but you have to appreciate this. There's water bag in you, with this bag of fluid. Again, shout out to Bill Harmon for all this, that you have to control. And depending on where your body, the position your body's in, that's where it's going to want to go, right? Where your pelvic floor can fight it and your abs can kind of contain it, that's where it's going to kind of drive the emotion, right? You got the spine on the back pretty stiff. You got your pelvic bones and stuff pretty stiff. And you got your like the anterior side. It's like there's nothing there, right? There's just muscle, and like there's a lot more leniency or a lot easier for it to go in that direction. That's why people generally don't go backwards, but they go forward and just keep going down to the ground as well. And so essentially, when you jump, like we're trying to do a more vertical jump, as I drop and lower myself, I'm moving faster. So, like, if you ever take a cup of water and drop the cup of water, you kind of feel the water come up, right? That's what's going on with your stomach and your guts, the internal organs. They do the same thing. I hit the ground, they come rocketing down towards your pelvic floor, right? And depending on who you are, what you are, I'm then coming in at the fight that acceleration of the guts into the ground after I stop, right? After I stop the vertical descent and come back up and push against it. And generally, what we want to happen is as we're dropping down, I'm stopping, the guts are coming, I'm pushing up, I'm spring loading the guts essentially. So I come up a little bit faster, the guts kind of push my pelvic floor down. I get the eccentric load, I get the shortening of the pelvic floor. And then as I jump, they kind of work together and it literally springs the guts up. So I leave the ground, the guts spring me back up, I float. And at that point, I'm trying to, like, that's kind of, then stuff happens after that, right? But that's the big one, getting off the ground. if I can't get the guts to one, rise up like they're supposed to, two, if I can't control how they are, like it's all perturbation and it does all moving, it's moving in the wrong direction. I can't direct them where I want to go. So I'm going to struggle, right? So if I go to stop on a vertical jump and I have this real strong anterior pelvic tilt, or I have like for some reason people can't control one way, it's going to push me in that direction. I'm going to kind of fall over one side. I'm going to stop on the ground and just control it first, and then try to muscle out of it. So I'm going to lose the elastic aspect of things. And if I can't get the guts to move up and down, so I'm going to really is where like the breath work and stuff can potentially play a role. Like if the diaphragm on top, if I can't get that to kind of come up some, that's why like an exhale a lot of times comes into play. I'm not gonna have the guts go vertical too much, right? So like I'm gonna only go so high. This is gonna push me back down. Like something that just bounce because it's gonna hit the diaphragm and kind of sling back down. And so it's like the controlling of all that is going to. This is what we have to do when it comes to the jump is managing the we want to get the guts to load the pelvic floor in a like eccentric passing, and then like a concentric yielding eccentric yield, and then they spring it back up. And we want to time it right because if you look at force plates, I think you can see it. You'll have like a double hump on some people, and you have the double hump that's lower. And it's like the people who have the double hump that keeps going up, they're going to have a higher vertical jump because they've used the floor in the appropriate fashion. Like you get the stretch, and it actually adds to the total force versus like this little drop. I got stuck, and then it's like okay, now I can kind of jump. So you have the double jump, the double like the two peaks, one lower, and the second when the second one's lower, it's like okay, you didn't control it as well. Like you're probably not gonna be the optimal jumper. Usually, guys with the double have a more relatively high jump, and that's because they have the pelvic floor being controlled, and they time it up with the spring and everything else. And so that's kind of what's going on with the pelvic floor and sort of the guts. And like you got to control that.
So does that mean like doing a vertical jump when like let's say the eccentric phase of the vertical jump? I forgot the name of the each phase, but bear with me right now. So
You're good.
during the eccentric phase of vertical jump, does that mean like because we are actually our body's moving faster than the gut, so the gut kind of float. Does that mean like like maybe just a small percent, like we're actually lighter a little bit?
Yeah, it's like as we're hitting the ground,
Yep.
yeah, we'll be a little bit lighter as we. I say that there's acceleration though involved, right? So it's like,
Yeah.
but the weight itself isn't as much. And then when we hit and we try, and once they slam, the weight increases. So yes, it's a definitely way of looking at it for sure. Because like again, look, you're literally part of the heaviness is off. Not, we're not pushing into the ground with that yet.
Nice. So, and you also mentioned that during the force time curve of vertical jump, you said some athletes gonna have like small double peaks, right? With s-
Yeah.
how about those with just one peaks?
They're probably like really efficient. I would think so. I don't see those in my guys, so it's like my guess is like it's just timed up extremely well. Do you have? I'm not, what like is that what you see? Like, do you have you seen that? Have you actually seen the jump of someone doing that? I should say.
Just one or two athlete, just
Yeah, so
one.
yes, I don't see that too often, but I would think that would be either one or the other. Where it's like it's gonna have the curve somewhere else is gonna look also off, in regards to like they hit the ground and it's like there's a pause almost before they jump and then they jump. Like I can't imagine the two verticals or one vertical. It's like all I ever see is the two.
Really?
So like the thought process would be either perfectly like the efficiency is insane um, because you should have two peaks, but like you can have the so it's either gonna be like the constructive interference where they build together or destructive interference where it's like he lands or they land and it's like almost a stop and it's just muscled up. You know what I mean? Um, and so that's where it's like I don't know what I'd be looking at. I have to see the jump itself, but like that's I almost always I've never seen again. I'm not looking at force plates constantly either, but it's like I never see the there's one peak on a kind of movement jump.
I think one of the reason that we are seeing this difference is because I work with mainly basketball players. They are probably much lighter than football player,
Yeah.
like
Mm-hmm,
much
mm-hmm.
lighter. And you work with football player like they're like so strong.
Yeah,
Their body type
yeah.
was just different. So, uh, besides like a vertical jump, how about when we talk about like change direction? Does it also move like sideways? Like, let's say when I go, if I do a lateral shuffle to the right, does my gut also move to the left at the beginning and then go right?
So depending on the speed and quickness of like if it's like legit like a change, I'm going right and I stop and left. I have to stop that motion of the guts. I'm not really gonna go left. Like it's not the same as the vertical in regards to the same feeling in regards. Like so, it's like I'm gonna drop, I'm gonna deload because I'm not really deloading ever at this point. Like I'm not necessarily leaving the ground. Um, because I'm gonna probably delay a little bit with that. So as I'm cutting into it, so I'm gonna land. And the big thing is like using a sandbag or water bag, something like this, you kind of get an idea of what's going on, right? So if I'm cutting, 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 it's going to kind of slush back, like you said. Catch it, and then I'm going to catch, and then they're going to go. So I catch it first. If I'm coming, like landing it, I have to stop first, right? That's what's supposed to. So the cuts are going to swing down, turn into that side. So it's like it can, we're getting kind of wavy, sloshing up, sloshing down, spinning around type activity. So if I'm stepping into the cut and I'm moving in that direction, the cuts are going to be going there. And then as I put my foot down, before I make that cut back, I have to stop. But that's the same idea. Is can I, if I'm trying to move quickly, I can stop, hold. It's going to spring, right? And then I'm going to come. It's going to spring back out as well, right? But it's like it's gonna be like delayed stop versus so I'm not necessarily gonna say smash back like a hard slam in regards to like oh I'm leaving it behind as much because there's a push I'm pushing it so I'm usually stopping it first if that makes sense so it's a I'm gonna go with that cut I'm gonna hit land stop the guts I'm going to start to move, and then it's going to spread a little bit, and then it's going to shoot back the other way. So it's not necessarily a slosh. It's a like a like you're loading a rubber band. Like you're pulling it really fast, and there's a delay. So it's more of a delay with a spring, and then it enhances that speed. If you can't get out of it, you time it wrong. This is where issues can happen, like ACLs and things like that, right? Because if I do leave it behind, like I'm doing a hard cut, because there's a delay when it hits, that's for sure. But it's like, and I step my foot out, and I go to cut and I go to move, but then this clutch hit, I have this extra constant orientation, and then then you get the injury, right? Because I didn't time it well, my body wasn't in the position to get that second development of force with the guts hitting of the ground. And I was like, oh, I'm trying to, oh no, I'm in the force of a position of no force, angle springs, things like this, of no force reduction. And now I have that extra, and then you have that issue, right? And so it's like again, this is the idea of controlling the guts and pelvic floor and positioning because you got to put it where it goes, and it's only going to go with your space. Um, and so that's why it's like controlling those things do matter a lot. I'm trying to find something for you here, but yeah,
I love
does that
this.
make sense?
Yeah, yeah. So, let me kind of like summarize it. So if I'm going to my like if I'm doing a left foot cut and then going to the right, I need to stop at the left. Let's say use my left foot to stop and wait for the gut to hit and then both bounce back instead of like stop with the leg and then just bounce back and then like the gut hit back. I need to do the first one, right?
Yeah, yeah. So it's like I'm going left. You said I'm cutting it, so I'm going. I catch the gut. So like, imagine this is me, right? I'm going. So let's say the fingers. I'm using fingers at this point. I'm stepping, I land. It's pretty quick, so it's like pretty close to each other. Land, stop, guts go. I stop, I move, and then I throw the guts with me,
Oh, yes.
right? And it's like side to side, but it's like a spin, right? So it's like front, back, forth, and then we're going back this way. But it's like they don't. It's not as I don't think it's drastic because it's not the drop. And because we have now muscle activity happening on both sides. So you'll have because I'm going lower, so you will have an unload still. If you cook appropriately, right? Nothing's straight stiff vertical because I'm going to lower a little bit. You're going to have a little bit of that same drop down that you go at vertical, but the side to side is more of a, and it's not even side to side. It's a hard part of saying it. Like I use it as a without trying to go into too much detail, is like there is a forward and back component as like think about the front of the pelvic floor, anterior and push check pelvic floor,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So it's moving kind of in and out of there too with the side to side. So it's imagine you're spinning. This is like a cut, get into your cut, come out of your cut, and then how much you go is like how much is it spinning, how much kind of stop and go. you know.
Nice, nice. I love it. I love it. So, uh, can you kind of like, so if I don't hate me for asking this like question, but so if I'm using a aqua ball to do like the lateral movement we were just talking about, like how exactly does like we want the water to like be like,
If you use like a water ball, the thing is, like, it should be
or water
the
bag,
goal
water
with
bag.
using, yeah, yeah, yeah. Sorry, water bag, yeah, like water bag. I think the key with this is to you want to make it. It needs to be controlled, right? It should be moving as a unit, right? That's the key. Is like, okay, can you get the unit down, timed up well, and it feels right? Because if you don't, if it doesn't feel, can't get the water moving like appropriately, they're going to notice it. Like it feels like it feels wrong, right? And this doesn't move, it sloshes all wrong awkwardly. But you're going to see it kind of do like these little spins, like it's almost like figure eight as it's going, right? Hard up and down, and you're going to have a nice little rhythm with that as well, or whatever you're doing, hopping with it. You're going to feel hit on the bottom. You're going to sort of come up. It's going to come back up with it and come back down. This is a little bit more of a delay. Where I'm jumping, because that's why I guess it makes sense. Versus like the side to side, where it's like you're just throwing it back, right? It's like you can't just stop. You got to throw it back. But the same idea with the water bag, again, helps with jumping, is to be able to catch that delay. So you'll see the drop, and you're going to feel, accelerate the extra acceleration into it, catch it, throw it back up. The water should just kind of move as a almost as a unit. I mean, it's going to be turbulent, but it's going to be moving as a unit and spinning with it. Like you'll see, like if there's water bag, if you're trying to do the activity and there's water throughout the entire tube the entire time, okay, it's just the turbulence inside they're doing the same thing. That's the big thing. It's like inside they're going to be just. It's like okay, you have no control of yourself. You're going to be either super rigid, moving's going to look terrible, stiffer, and it's just like you're not going to have any type of force production because you can't control it. Where again, it should be like you have this little delay of like the water moving, and it's almost more as a pattern. And if you can get that, that's the key is like controlling it, right? Like everybody's gonna be slightly different in regards because of their shape and size and like how they do it. But the idea, the principle of like keeping it into a pattern, keeping it kind of moving, not just extremely turbulent, um, is kind of the idea of what you want to shoot for.
Man, you're the way you explain it is awesome. Like so easy to understand.
I'm glad. I'm glad. I'm glad to be helpful.
So, so am I like am I so let me kind of explain it and you can tell me am I understanding it right? So, if I'm using alcohol to do like the lateral shuffle we're just describing, so the water
Mhm.
should kind of just be like the gut, like hitting there at the same time and then go, just like we mentioned with the gut, right?
So I kind of shuffle into it. So I'm gonna shuffle sideways, whatever it is, and stop. As I'm stopping, I'm bringing hands with me, so it's like I'm not trying to delay it so much, right? Stop. It's gonna hit, and by the time I hit, I'm gonna be moving, and then it's gonna swing back to the other side. So it's like
Yeah.
it's just a slight second delay in regards to you coming out of it, right? If it's too long, the water stops, and it's like okay, now I've lost all the spring, and that's how you know it's like okay, it took too long to come out of that cut. And it's like, okay, you got buried. And it's where it's like, okay, that's what's going with the guts. It's stopping there. And it's like, you're not gonna muscle around and like just step and throw it over. And it's not this nice smooth move.
Yeah, it's the
But
same
yeah,
like
it's a hit,
uh,
fills
low
up, and then it
hitting
swings
and then
back
go
out.
back.
Mm-hmm.
Nice,
Mm-hmm.
nice,
You just you lead it just a little bit, but it's like a parachute, like you're just feeling it back and just springing it back forward.
nice, nice, nice. So maybe all the time I'm doing all those back stuff are wrong.
Oh, I didn't say that.
No, I'm just messing around. I'm trying to figure that out. Like why people like think that's valuable. I love it. I just don't really have that deep of understanding until right now. And
Like, I mean, I don't think they need to be used like so Franz Bosch, he's big on I think the water back stuff, and it's like I don't, Fran like I always make jokes like they never go full Franz Bosch, but like it's really good stuff. But it's like there is a there's people got to lift sometimes. Like there's certain sports like you need certain mass, like especially with football, right? If you don't football, like there's a mass aspect protective at. Like you got to have muscle. You got to have a certain level of strength. When it's like water
Yeah.
bags aren't going to get you there, right?
Yeah.
But using them as part of plyometric work, plyometric prep is super useful, right? Part of rehab, super useful. In regards to learning how to control, like the key is like you would use a water bath to set up the technique, and it's like now can we utilize that technique with maybe a med ball this time to release it. Now can we use it with just on a sprint, on the actual course, right? So like, you can potentially like set them up. Like I'm helping get the technique a little bit better. And now, okay, can I get the force and get out of it? Now it's like, can I just go full speed and get in and out of it on the actual tech, like the drill, so I can put them together like that. And that can be running or whatever it is. But like the key is like they're good supplemental work. You can probably have a day of that if you wanted to, but it's like the day is supplemental day, right? It's like, oh, we're doing nothing but technique work today. And it's like usually I like to, if I have an implement, I want to try to do something without the implement to see if the implement enhance what I was trying to do, right? It's like I'm not shaking water back to shake water back. We're shaking water back to get better control the guts, get better form. So it's like, okay, let's check a vertical jump if I'm trying to do vertical jump. Let's check a cut, trying to check. Let's check the volleyball spike, we're trying to get the volleyball spike. Let's check the throw, I'm trying to get the throw better, right? It's like, let's just see how it's looking. Let's just see if it's going to influence the way we want to so we don't spend too much time doing it if it does.
Nice, nice, nice. So we talk about vertical movement, we talk about lateral movement. How about like rotational movement, like baseball pitching? Like what like what exactly are we like if we're talking about the gut? Like how does
Mm-hmm.
the gut move when we do like
It's just nuts. So throwing volleyball spike is different because you're in the air, so it changes things a little bit. But like throwing a football, throwing a baseball, throwing a like in cricket, bowling, they're just cuts. So you have two cuts: a slow cut at the start to get things going, a fast cut to make the throw. So again, it's like you're sitting on a cut or you're throwing. I'm going to load the backside to kind of get move the pelvis floor, the fluid back. So I'm moving back this way so that I can throw it to the other side and I just go that way. And then I got to stop. So left foot, so say right hand pitcher, right hand throw. We're loading the guts. We're throwing them down and forward to the left. And then I got to stop that, throw them back to the left, which is going to turn me and get the arm around. Like obviously, there's more up top that has to go along with it, right? You got to have the right positions, but all this is a cut. And that's the thing is like if you appreciate like throwing is nothing but cutting, change of direction. It's much easier to train. Like things can make more sense. Like oh, this is why split squats tend to work well with throwers, right? Because why you're training cut, you learn how to stop, and that's what you're trying to do, right? Because the goal is to I'm going towards the plate, I'm going away from the plate. Now one leg's coming around because I don't need to fully push back, but it's the same idea: full speed into the stop and let the other one swing, right? And that's all it is. So it's the same way. So you're doing water bag work, you're working on cutting. Now there may be a little bit more technique involved with like the coming off a mound, positional stuff, like things like that. But overall, the same principle is it's a cut
nice, nice. And besides like just front and back, it also hit this way and then
up
hit
and
that
down. Yeah,
way.
yeah, yeah. It's like it's like down, so up and back, down and forward, up and back, right? So it's just and it's going to do this little, this constant like little vortexy loop. Yep.
Nice, nice.
Yeah.
Why is it like this instead of like just down and hit back?
And this is where appreciating so you can kind of like say why is it up and down, right? And circling. And that's like again one we have the pelvis. So the pelvis is a container, not just a flat surface. And then the whole thorax, let's just say the visceral area is a pelvis or a container. And then like our mesenteries, so our guts are actually put on an angle, so they don't just fall straight forward, they fall on an angle. And so it kind of has to go on that angle. And we have the whole cavity to move it through. And that's where we're going. So we have a like a nutated pelvic floor or nutavic, nutated pelvis, like everything on the backside is closed. So that's pushed forward. And then at the same time, the pelvis, if we think about the issue, the pubis, they get closer together, right? And so like things are further down. And again, it's not like we're not dropping inches, like, oh, we're doing 5 inches drop. It's not like that. I mean, they smash probably a little bit. You see the breathing drill. Like, you ever watch the videos on the like the dynamic MRIs, people breathing, like you see, like I mean, the guts get smushed pretty strong. Obviously, density increases as it smushes. But it's like I do a commutation, everything's more forward and down. If I do a nutation, everything's more up and back because it's just how it's a movement of power. So it's like that's what's happening, and that puts your body in better positions to move in certain directions. And this is where you struggle potentially if you can't get that going on. Oh, like they can't. Who was this talking to the other day? Anyways, because like they can't get out of that leg, so like oh the pitcher has to whip all the way around or like something along those lines. Like that left side can't nutate at all, and so they can't get it back. So they have to cheat to get it around versus getting it back, right? And so they're going to struggle to throw because their guts kind of hit there and they just can't get up and back where we wanted to. Because they just want to keep going forward. But I need the left side in the throw to stop that motion so my right side can come across. And if I don't, I'm going to struggle. And so that's what it's like. If I can't nutate, I have nowhere to go. I'm going to do something. So I'm going to cheat some way. It's going to be more of a drop. Like I just need to get back, or I need to come, or I need to go up and over it. Um, and so that's where appreciating like the pelvic mutation, the pelvic mechanics, and like again thorax as well, um, because it has come up in that area. Is very helpful when it comes to like athletics and appreciating the guts and using it that way. So it's like looking at the guts and things like this when it comes to sports and things along the lines. It's like okay, how's the athlete accomplishing these goals? How's the athlete what getting the job done? And it's like, is it good? It's heavily based on performance, right? It's like, oh, he should move. Like, no one should move like anyway. Like the best athletes I've worked with in the league is like some of them is like, bro, how are you not hurt all the time? Like, how does your knees not hurt? And it's like, well, they've just done their whole life, and they move like that their whole life, and they're super conditioned, and they eat well, they sleep right. Like, I mean, there's so many variables, right? But how they attack the game, like they're in it, their body has been trained, like they can produce the most force for them at that time. Can we make changes? Maybe, but how much time is that going to take? Like, do we need to take a year? I mean, it's just like, do I have, off seasons are so short these years, these time now. So it's like, how much time do you actually have? Like, I think you're a college kid, you have more, you have 4 years. I'm going to say 4 years, NIL, tour transfer, just crazy now. So it's like, it changed the game a little bit. But like, you looking at the guts is like, okay, what's going on with the fisher? What's going on with the pelvic floor? What's going on with this? And ForceBase can help you see this. I don't have access to a lot of ForceBase. I use other people's data. Um, and then at the same time, like it helps guide, like, okay, this is what's happening. Oh, man, they're real slow on that right side. It's like, well, because they can't open that pelvic, the guts are stuck there. And you can see like there's that lag, almost a delay. You see like they're fighting themselves on these vertical jumps. Like these, like a lot of times the girls that work with basketball, they'll go and stop. And it's like they're anterior in volleyball, they're anterior tilted. They're going to stop, and it's like all their effort to stop, and it's like then it's a jump, right? There's no control of the guts. It's like okay, if I can't get the guts moving back, and they stand up now, everything's kind of stiff, like they're real, like they don't look like they're um, hinging, able to hinge, but they have the strong entry level tilt, flat back, those sort of things, and knees kind of start to knock in. And it's like, okay, if I can't control, if I can get the guts to move in a better position, I'm not going to be able to get them to actually hit these jumps appropriately and better control that. And so this was like, I need both a physical control and then like I need to create a better container for the guts to move around in. Like it's too rigid. I need a container that's going to be flexible and move enough where they can actually send it where it needs to go, so they can actually achieve the position that they can to actually be better at the strength and the like the motion part of it, right? The neurological part of it, right? The actual technique part of it, I should say. And again, it doesn't have to be the same as her, but it needs to be better than what you got right now.
Nice. I love it. I love it. I love it. So, uh, besides gut, another like interesting topic I kind of want to like ask your thought about is the ISA angle. Like people talk about like wide ISA angle and narrow ISA angle, how
Mm-hmm.
like why some people are more elastic, why some people are more force dominant. Like,
Mm-hmm.
first of all, like how much do you think that kind of affect the performance?
Holy. So again, I gotta get shout out to Bill Hartman, kind of about his model. USP Plus, yeah, I'll give him a shout out. And like, if this finds interesting, all that information's come from there, right? A lot of this information come from there. He'll have the questions for you. So I gotta give him a shout out for that. But it matters. So like, the key is also to appreciate that the ISA angle isn't about the ISA angle, right? It gives the ISA, so like it's talking about having narrow versus wide ISA. And what that means is it's more of a hey, this individual had a structure as a whole, not just the ISA, that is built more. in wider, stronger, thicker, stiffer fashion, you know. And then so think Eskimos, Samoans, right? And then you have the narrow say, and I'm going extremes with those guys. Narrow say, and then you have these people are smaller, more rotational base, a little bit springier a lot of times. And their eyes are smaller, and the French also like the Kenyans, right? The district, right? These are the extremes. And so this is where it comes down to like they matter a shit ton. Like I think they matter like they do. I mean, that's what it is. Like this is what we're talking about right now. Like that's what matters. And then, but on top of that, there's also like configuration. So you'll see like you see the freak athletes. I always say the white hire because his shoulder was nuts. The V, right? So there's wide upper thorax, narrow pelvises, and all these guys are super athletic, right? And then you'll have the guys who have like the narrow, or the females even. Females is easier to see on most people see that like the smaller top and then the wider hips and they tend to struggle with a lot of the vertical athletic movements overall. And that's because again, it comes down to that water situation, moving the guts up and down. Where like if you imagine I got a small tube, right? I can't. It's hard to push things up in a small tube, right? So it's like I can't get it vertical enough, and so it's just hard. But side to side, I can probably move quickly because there's a lot of space. Like, oh, I can unweight side to side quickly, but repeated activity of it, and then starts to move up and down a lot. And it's like, oh wait, now it's hard to control again because there's this big old bowl in the bottom versus up top, right? And then if I have a V, I have a lot of space up top and I'm constantly putting pressure down. So it's like everything wants to go back up. And so they just tend to be bouncy and more elastic. And so, but when it comes down to like the narrows and wides, based on their structure and their archetypes, usually it sets up to again, there's extremes, right? So like if we're to take a rib cage angle, I'm holding my hands up, and it's like 150 degrees, and you bring it down to 5 degrees, right? This is between my hands. Like you have everything between there, and they bias more of these uh, qualities as you move towards those different endpoints, to the point where you can't really do much at all, right? Um, and again, there's a whole webinar I think on he has for free on YouTube that really goes into it, which I think is very useful in this build. Uh, and so what we're looking at here is based on the structure or archetype, it sets up different actions and positions that you have access to, right? So it's like, oh, my body, and this is no different than saying long femur squat differently than short femur. Long towards like it's the same exact thing. And people just want to get on it and like, oh, it's the same thing. It's like you're just moving differently. That's all I'm saying. And it's like you're gonna have access to different positions because you're built different, and that's fine. This is why you can't, but it's going to influence how you jump, right? When it comes to jumping, a lot of times narrow is going to have a longer penultimate step. Wide is going to have a shorter penultimate step. Why should be better kind of just like potentially just standing, powering through. They may not have a bigger difference as their standing vert to their approach vert. Narrows will generally have, what I've noticed, is a little bit bigger difference between their like counter movement and their approach because of the ability to store the energy a little bit better, right? And because of their position, they use a little bit more elastic, a little bit more speed coming into the jump. They load the tissues a little bit better, and they have again because of that, they also have a little bit more vertical access, so they can, relatively speaking, right? They can go up and down. Where a wider individual is going to hinge on anything to throw it up, right? It's almost like you got to load it and push hard, and then hopefully right. It doesn't mean neither of them jump high, right? Like they both can jump very high. Just how they're going to do it is different, and you shouldn't try to force things on somebody who is the way. Again, like the turning and things like that matter because if I like how the narrow pellet is set up, they're going to turn quicker. So like a longer penultimate helps speed that up. Because if you imagine like if you take a foam roller, hold it vertically, and spin it, and then turn on the side and spin it, you're going to see how the spin is different and how it takes longer from one end to get to the other. And that's how you, and I think it's like a good way of looking at it. And that's like how it's going to happen. And so it's like, if I'm trying to do a long penultimate as a wide, I'm going to lose so much energy trying to spin back around. Like, let me just
Mm,
come in, pop out, and just go straight back up. Like, and I'm probably better at creating force faster and generally. And so I don't have to have this longer stretch to build up the force and have more time to push in the ground, force time curves, right? My impulse is going to be a little bit faster on a lot of that. Thing the problem again comes into that also is like because of the cylinder how it is, like it doesn't the verticality potentially like controlling it up. I don't have a longer tube to shoot it up into. Like the narrow guys who are beat up tend to be your best jumpers as like we're taking across the board. They're going to have the ability to jump the highest. But it doesn't mean again wides can't jump high either. And if you're more beat up, the better you are. And this is where I compare LeBron or John Morant to Joker. Joker's not. Joker's more of a pylon. Like he's more of the wider hips guy, but his side to side movement is money. Like Duke can spin, he gets side to side, boom, boom. He got the length, jaw, he's fast, quick, he gets off the ground like that, and he flies, yeah.
So all the time I thought ice angle just means about like the pelvis shape, the pelvis eye. So besides the pelvis, it also link with how the upper body, the structure
Whole
is.
body. So yeah, so ISA is the rib cage, right?
Yeah,
The infrasternal angle below the rib cage. It gives influence into the pelvis position and
yeah.
how the pelvis looks, because they're like iterations. Like body's built a certain way. So if you're a wide ISA, you're considered like a wide archetype. That's what it comes down to. So like, oh, your body's set up with a shorter, squattier, relatively speaking, again, it's not short. Like you can be 7'8", you can be 6'5", and still be a wide, right? But you're gonna look different than 6'5" narrow. So that just gives an insight. Okay, our qualities of how our structure is set up are based on the space available. So it's going to force certain patterns on first qualities on us because of this life and living. I have to breathe, and so based on like the setup where I have a wide ISA, I build up pressure faster. My diaphragm has a larger surface area, so when I push down more, it builds things up quickly. I create a gradient. So like I have a tube. If it's a shorter tube, if I move less, I move more space vertically up and down, so I get air in sooner. I'm creating the vacuum of the thoracic cavity a little bit sooner. Where if I have a narrow, I say it's a smaller surface area in the diaphragm, a longer thorax. So I have to drop the diaphragm a little bit further technically to get air in, right? And so like that's sort of, like those are like type of influence you're looking at. And that's just like that's physics, right? It's not like oh this you just have to because that's how it works. It doesn't mean you can't excurge, but it's just you have to go further because the tube takes more of that to fill the pressure, to decrease the pressure, create a vacuum needed to get the air in. And same time with that is again like it's based on the archetype structure. Again, a ton of articles on actually structure changes. Like your sacrum will be shaped differently than your pelvis, and so based on that, they're going to move differently. Like I'm not going to have as much my sacrum won't approximate the ischial tuberosity as much as a wide versus narrow. They tend to go there. Vice versa, I won't have as much relative anterior tilt or nutation as well as a narrow as would wide. So it's like you have these things, and then those positions now, if I move my pelvis, it's going to set up the other muscles of the system because they're attached. Everything kind of comes back to spoken wheel, right? Test back proximally. And so if my pelvis is shaped a certain way, it's going to bias all the muscles out from there. Same thing with the rib cage. If my rib cage is expanded a certain way, it's going to bias all the muscles, which are going to affect how my scapula go. It's going to affect how all the muscles are attached out from there. And that just biases certain muscles to being more favorable for certain activities.
Nice, nice, nice. That's kind of explain like why certain eyes of people are more elastic, why certain eyes say people are more force dominant. That's perfect. I love it. I love it. How long does it take for you to like learn all these stuff?
I don't know. Like I've been doing this for a long time in regards to learning this. So like I work with Bill. So first time I did the intensive. So this is Bill's thing. Was like 2018. So I've been looking at it since, and I still don't have it fully locked down in regards to like the intricacies. This like so we're talking about was a bit easier to lock down. Once you buy in, right? It's like okay, can you buy in and do research? I'm usually skeptic of people. And so I'll ask for research into data, things like this. And so then I'll go and do that. If they give me enough information early on, and I was like, okay, I see what you're saying. I can read it, I find it, I see it. Then I start taking people, and I was like, okay, what you tell me I trust, right? Every now and then I go back and check, but like for the most part, like that's what I do. Like Jake Turow and his tendon stuff, like why he spends so much time, like he is so obsessed with the tendon, right? And so the information he puts out is legit information. And it's like, first, like, okay, let me just double check. Let me just proofread. And now it's like, okay, I can probably take what he says and just utilize it now. So I don't have to spend so much time rereading all these articles because I've trusted, I understand how he interprets it now because he puts so much information out there. And he's doing all the work. So it's like, why would I spend the same time doing all this when he's already done these papers, he's telling me where to go, and I think he's very trustworthy when it comes to things like that. And that's kind of how I go about some learning things is trying to find a guy who wants to do all the work. They love it. And it's like, can I pick a piece? Because there's certain things I may be strongly influenced in and appreciate. Like I'm kind of in this model, but it's like, how do these other things play into it? How can I explain things through there? things through the lens that I have. And if someone is obsessed with a certain topic, why not take their word for it? Like, I mean, looking at them, figuring out, making sure, like, do their back, do your due diligence, like, see what they have to say, read up on the articles you're utilizing. Do you have the same kind of interpretation? Do you have the same? And then once you find a person who's that hard in, trust what they say. Go back and check every now and then, but it's like don't waste your time reading all the papers when they're doing it and they're telling you about it. Like you have someone like that. It's really like having a group. And I learned this from Coach Joe Kent. Um, dude was awesome. He was always like, I have a guy. Like he always like he's like, I know what I know, and I like what I know, and I like learning what I like to know. I don't like learning other things, but I know it can be useful, so I have a guy. So he always has a guy who can call, hey, look, I need an exercise for this or this, and call a guy up and like, hey, do try these activities, right? And I was like, I was smart. I was like, that's a really efficient way to get better at things and be able to be useful, right? Um, you know what you know. It doesn't take anything away from you. It's just like, why waste your time doing that unless you care that much about it, right? And you personally, like, obviously, you know it's useful, but it's like I don't want to read 8 papers to figure out, one little thing. Like this guy's already done all this. He's like, oh, he already, told me this is where it's at, and it's like I trust him because every time I fact checked him, he's correct. Every time I've read articles that he's read, I agree with what they say. So just maybe virtually like saying it a different way, but so that, I mean, it takes again, like I was literally sitting here yesterday, going back to your question. Like I haven't, I mean, obviously as a trainer, you had to get CEs. Um, so it's like, but I think like, there has been a year where it's like I haven't focused on something. It's like I'm always like trying to learn. I'm always trying to figure things out. I'm not going heavy. I'm always out branching, even though I have like a main focus. Like I'm still branch out, trying to see these things. So it's a constant learning thing. But I think just early on, understanding the structures is I think that helps useful. And then getting the super nitty gritty, you can be as neurotic as you want about it, which can be useful at times. But a lot of the stuff is you just have it figured out in regards to, hey, here are the guts moving, here are the shapes of JSA. That helps you start right away, helps you see things right away. And you can start utilizing it pretty quickly because it kind of makes sense. Like looking at what you know, how Bill explains it is more like, this is why it's happening, not like you should do it this way, but this is why. Well, this is why I did. And it's like, okay, that's very useful because it's like, okay, well, maybe I should do this instead because this tends to be based on what we're learning, more set up for this individual. And it's like, okay, this makes, and then like, oh, I'll get results, right? Because, and it's not like any one specific activity, one specific system. It's more of just a whole understanding of why things work a little bit better, why things work. And it gives you a better option of like, oh, if I do more of this, it's gonna work better.
Nice. Nice. I love it. I love it. I think that's all the question I have for you today. So, for those who are interested in what we're talking about today, like where can they reach out to you?
Oh, for me, I'm at Thorn Training Therapy. At the same time, so that's my Instagram. Yeah, that's pretty much. I haven't posted in a while. I need to start posting up again. We're going to be starting a one step away thing for kids, not for kids, for parents and basketball players, but mostly for youth. It's going to be focused on youth. With one step away, and I'll be OSA athletics. Um, and then one step away athletics. Sorry, and then I teach at AMP education. And so we teach some of these concepts in the way that we see and view the lens with Sean Astorga. So we're there. And we always like, we just started a new cohort. It's like every 3-ish months. A new one rolls around. It's a 12-week program. It's really dope. And then again, like I always give a shout out USP. At least try the free version. It's Bill Hartman. Look it up USP. This gives you all that. And he has it. Go to his YouTube channel and check out the webinars before, and then make a decision from there. But it's very useful stuff. It's kind of again, it depends on how you look at it. The kids going in and appreciating like, look, this is a principal thing. Like it's just this is about teaching you how things work better, right? And that's our general thought process. And then, but yeah, that's uh that's where you can find me. Thorn Training Therapy. That was me. So.
Nice. Nice.